Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. Let's get ready to rumble!
And that's right, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer, alongside, as always, my co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. Dan, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing great. That was a very fun wrestling show. Getting to see Kevin Knight, Dark Oracle Sage, even Eastside Dave show with that muscle pose off with Mr. USA Tony Atlas. It was a lot of fun. I could tell both guys had a lot of fun with that performance, and it was just it was all for a great cause. It was well worth the trip all the way to Nutley, New Jersey. I had to use quite a bit of public transportation. Had to grab a bus from Port Authority. Then on the way back, 2 buses.
Yeah.
Plus the Q8, plus where I live, I got to grab a bus to get to my nearest subway station, as people know.
Absolutely. Definitely a lot of public transportation for you on Saturday, but it was a lot of fun. Just like you said, a great cause. Kevin Knight and the IWF really put on a fantastic show. Great performance by Eastside Dave too. He was great playing the villain against the WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. USA Tony Atlas. So very, very cool show altogether. And it was very cool having Kevin on last week, Dan, too. How'd you like having the great Kevin Knight as a guest last week on our show?
I was so happy to have him on our show. He has become a great friend of mine. I really enjoyed being on the Eastside Dave show with him. He become one of my favorite guests on the Eastside Dave show. And I just thought it was so, plus he's a fellow Met fan. And I thought it was so cool to have him be our first guest on Best Seat in the House podcast. As a matter of fact, I think our interview may have I got someone that DMing me, I guess someone that represents some I don't want to mention any names now or give anyone hopes up, but I'm hearing there could be a big one connected to, let's just say we'll give a hint. You might want to watch a certain ESPN 30 for 30 about a certain championship team in the 1980s. I'm sure you remember when I was texting you about this. How
Absolutely. Yeah. And actually, just to drop another hint, this guy was actually my first favorite baseball player, specifically a former Met. So it would be very, very cool to get him on. I know we're speaking a little cryptically right now, but we're just trying to keep it in good taste and do a little bit of a tease. But if everything works out, hopefully next week. But if not next week, then definitely at some point in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a very special guest on that definitely is going to make me and Dan very excited. And hopefully everybody that's tuning in to watch this podcast too. And actually, speaking of that too, really want to thank all the fans and everybody who have been subscribing and following us on social media. I mean, our numbers on YouTube have gone through the roof over the last couple of weeks. We've been getting a lot of great reviews, just like Dan mentioned, definitely from our Kevin Knight interview and everything that goes along with that too. Really, really fun stuff, Dan, right?
Yep, exactly. It was really fun. I loved it. I ran into someone at the Met game that was loving the show. I think I got a couple of people that may have followed the show's Twitter account after I told they weren't aware that I've been doing a show. So now they're pretty excited that they heard the news I'm doing. We're doing this show, and I feel we're gonna be growing. And I expect also I'm hoping to see some people mention this very show when I run into some people at the Met game on a Saturday. I go every year when the Mets are home on my birthday. If I see they're home on my birthday, I try to make sure to get a ticket to that game. And there even been some times when the Mets were home on my birthday, like when they were in Philly, I may have made that 99-mile trip to attend that game.
Absolutely, man. And you said the magic word though, where right now we're recording on the night of the 27th, but we're just a couple of days away from your birthday. So by the time everybody's seeing this, it'll be even closer to your birthday. And I just want to be the first to say to my partner and my co-host, happy birthday, Dan. I hope you're having a great one this year, because I know our Mets are doing great. Our podcast is doing great. So it's been a pleasure on this ride with you. And I just wanted to be the first to say happy birthday, buddy.
Thanks, Robert. That really means a lot to me, and that even means a lot to Mr. Malunigan, who's happy to hear that too.
The great Mr. Malunigan, your schnoodle, as you've mentioned on the Opie and Anthony show quite a few times.
Yep, that's right. He'll be, as always, on my birthday when it's someone in our house, but it's someone's birthday in our house. He would be my mom and my sister. He's wearing his little birthday party hat.
And as you can see, me and Dan both have our colors on today. I got my Jets jersey on. Dan has his Giants jersey on, because
I picked this jersey for a reason. This throwback Eli Manning jersey, and I feel weird calling this jersey a throwback now because it feels like yesterday he was playing, but because the last time I remember being this excited about watching the NFL draft, I feel it was 2004, and that eventually led to two Super Bowl championships, the events of that draft. So I figured I'd wear my Eli Manning jersey today.
Very true. Honoring the guy that led the charge in beating the great Patriots dynasty twice in a 4-year span. So, hey, look, I wish I had a quarterback as great as Eli.
Oh, can't forget that, the greatest Super Bowl song in the world.
Yes, the Eastside Dave show. Well, actually, it was the Davey Mac Sports program that put that out about 11 years ago at this point, crazy enough. The Fuck Tom Brady song. So if you get a chance, we'll actually include a link to that in the description, because if you haven't seen it yet, just great stuff from Davey Mac and Roy Harder putting the music down. I know Chris Pepper Stanley was involved, Sean O. So really some fun stuff if you want to check that out. That's one. And the funniest part about that too, like we've discussed in the past, is that the Giants were playing that song that week during Super Bowl week. So very cool stuff.
Crank that song up to 11 off of my phone when the about to take off, when me and my friend were on our way to Indy for the game. We thought it'd be cool to crank that, and I saw a couple of people in the plane dancing to that.
Absolutely. And before we jump into the NFL draft, because we are going to do the top 10 picks from the NFL draft this year, as our Jets and Giants own 4 of the top 10 picks. So we'll be jumping into that in just a moment. Before we get into that, though, Dan, we'll talk about the Mets a little later on. I really want to get into the New York Rangers real quick before we jump into this. We saw the last couple of days, the Rangers giving out the Stephen McDonald Extra Effort Award. They gave out the first ever Rod Gilbert Mr. Ranger Award tonight. Chris Kreider being the man taking home both of them after his fantastic season this year. He's actually scratched for the first time tonight, which, it makes sense. He's probably a little banged up, and Gallant wants to give him a little extra rest.
Yeah, exactly. They want to give him a little rest. That's what I hear. But by the way, speaking of Stephen McDonald, I've met Stephen McDonald before, and he was a really great guy. And you could tell he really gave a lot of support to a lot of the officers and everything they do to risk. They put themselves in harm's way for us, and he was a very I could tell he was a very kind and generous guy when I talked to him.
Yeah, you're very right about that. Stephen McDonald definitely left an impression on New Yorkers and Ranger fans in general. Just a great man, a hero who was shot in the line of duty, paralyzed back in the 80s, and he was still a force at Madison Square Garden up until just a couple of years ago, when he would pass away. So just a really incredible man. very thankful that I never even met the man, but I still felt like he impacted me in a way, and really just really a great guy. And he would be so proud of this Rangers team that we have seen rise from the ashes this year. With led by Gerard Gallant and Chris Kreider and his 52 goals, and Panarin getting 96 points. A terrific season out of Mika Zibanejad. His next goal will be his 30th. He's already cracked 80 points. So really fantastic year from the Rangers. Is there anything else that you want to see this team? Any more milestones you want to see them hit over the next two games? Tonight they're playing the Montreal Canadiens. By the time you see this tomorrow, there'll only be one game left. Is there anything else, Dan?
As we know, Chris Kreider's birthday is also on April 30th. So we got to say happy birthday to Chris Kreider.
Absolutely.
I feel maybe we need to just go out there, hopefully win these two games, carry a little momentum into the playoffs. Maybe maybe bring in Georgi in one of these two games to make sure he's got some reps. Hopefully he won't have to be needed, but he'll be ready and have enough ice time in case he is needed. So I think pretty much the next two games is a tune in for the playoffs.
Yeah, Georgiev is starting tonight. So I think Gallant is going along with pretty much what you're saying right now too, where he knows that these guys are it's been a long season. They've been beat up, especially guys like Kreider and everything who play a very physical game. But when you look at the scratches for tonight, I mean, Jacob Trouba, Mika Zibanejad, Adam Fox, Ryan Lindgren, Artemi Panarin, and Chris Kreider, and obviously the banged up Andrew Kopp and the injured Tyler Mott are all of the scratches tonight, which means that he's got everybody in there. Brodzinski, Braun, Libor Hayek, so many of the guys that we really haven't seen much of the last couple of weeks are getting in there tonight, which I also think is a good thing too. Obviously, like I said, Georgiev is starting tonight. So really love this Rangers team. And you know what? This time next week, we'll be in the playoffs. And that's all that matters at this point right now. Let's just turn the page on the regular season. We got 50 wins. We saw Kreider get his 50 goals. Now let's go out there and get 16 playoff victories. Right, buddy?
Yep, exactly. It's been a long time. It's about time Lord Stanley makes his return to the Canyon of Heroes.
Well said, my friend. Well said. And with that, we're going to jump right in to our NFL draft. And that's right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the best seat in the house 2022 draft show right here, NFL draft show. I'll be representing the New York Jets. My co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan, will be representing the New York Football Giants. And with that, we're going to get this underway right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars, with the number 1 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, select edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson, Michigan. With the second pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select edge rusher Trayvon Walker, Georgia. And with the third pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select offensive lineman, and I'm going to butcher his name here, Ikem Ekwonu, North Carolina State. All right. And now with the number 4 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select cornerback Ahmed Sauce Gardner, Cincinnati.
All right, with the number 5 pick, we select offensive tackle Evan Neal from a good pal of mine, her home state, the Alabama.
Out of Alabama, yeah, Evan Neal going to the Giants. It's a good pick for the New York Giants. I like that a lot to solidify that offensive line. And with the number 6 pick in the NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select quarterback Malik Willis out of Liberty. All right, Dan, now you're back on the clock with the Giants.
All right, with the number 7 pick, Jermaine Johnson, defensive end out of Florida State.
Florida State. All right, and let's talk about this for a second, Dan. I want to break this down because obviously we breezed through my my Jets one and your first pick. Let's just recap a little bit. I know you had Sauce Gardner, Ahmed Gardner, the cornerback, high on your draft board. What did you like best about him and how he fit with the Giants? That he was that high on your board.
I felt he just had a lot of upside.
Mm-hmm.
After his adjustment to the NFL, he just had upside with our current offensive line, and hopefully give Daniel Jones some protection that he hasn't had. I mean, the poor guy's been getting sacked left and right.
Yeah, no, that's true. The Giants definitely need to add some protection, and that's the same reason. From the other side of the ball, the Jets needed a playmaker, so that's why I went with Ahmed Gardner, aka Sauce Gardner, who apparently says that his favorite kind of sauce is barbecue sauce, but nothing in particular, which kind of rubbed some people the wrong way for some reason. I don't really know why. But the Jets with me, I took Sauce Gardner at number 4. You took Evan Neal at Alabama at number 5. Then at number 7, you jumped ahead. If you really look at the big board, Jermaine Johnson, the second, out of Florida State, the edge rusher, 6'5", 265 pounds. One of the better prospects in the draft. But you know what? He's been really rising on the boards lately. There was even some speculation that the Jets, in real life, could take him at the number 4 pick, which I don't know. I mean, look, if the Jets are going to do that, the guy better be a Hall of Famer. But at where the Giants are picking at number 7 for their second pick, I don't mind that pick at all. I think it's a very good job by you. What attracted you to Jermaine Johnson?
Well, I was looking at him. I was watching the Senior Bowl earlier this year, and he just made some explosive plays on defense.
Yeah, and a team like the Giants too, that just has a rich history with great defensive players. You could even go back to LT for linebackers. perspective, but if you even come back a little bit more recent, just go to specifically to D end. I mean, you look at Michael Strahan, you look at Justin Tuck when they took him out of Notre Dame. You look at guys like JPP, who's still in the league, by the way. So they really are the Giants really do have a history of taking very talented edge rushers in the draft. Great talented defensive linemen on the end. So I definitely agree with you there. No doubt about that.
Our history with some of our greatest teams in Giants history, I feel, always had a great defense. I mean, look at the very first football jersey I owned, and this one's going to be a little bit sad mentioning this, but one of the last gifts I had got from my dad before he had passed, I think it was the last Christmas he was alive. He gave me my first Giants jersey. It was a Lawrence Taylor jersey.
Wow, yeah. It just goes to show you, man. Especially back then in the '80s, LT was the big man on campus, and the Giants were just a supremely talented team. They won that. They really won both Super Bowls, but specifically that second one, through their defense. Because with Sims hurt that second go around where they had to go through the Niners and everything, and they stopped the Niners and the three-peat. They really needed contributions big time from their defense. Starting with backup quarterback and everything, who played great, but you definitely needed their field goal kicker, who ended up making a name for himself there that playoff run, and their defense to step up, and they definitely did on both accounts, no doubt about that.
By the way, I got to say something about the 1986 Giants. They made a bit of Super Bowl history, inventing 2 Super Bowl standards that have become a standard when it comes to Super Bowl championship teams. One, they invented the Gatorade bath. Number 2, Sims was the very first to do an "I'm going to Disney World" commercial.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, Bill Parcells was the first one to take the Gatorade bath, and Phil Simms was the first to say he's going to Disney World. So, yeah, very, very true. That was a terrific Giants team. No doubt about that. So, with that, let's jump right back in. We got a couple of more picks to do in our draft before we wrap it up here. And we're going to jump right back into the 8th pick in the NFL draft. With the number 8 pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select wide receiver Garrett Wilson, Ohio State. So, very good job by the Falcons there. I think that really replaces, they've had kind of they're really building up from the bottom here. There weren't any quarterbacks this high that are going to blow anybody away right now. So they replaced the spot that Julio Jones, left when he was gone for the last couple of years. Good move by them. With the number 9 pick in the NFL draft, the Seattle Seahawks select cornerback Derek Stingley Jr., LSU. The 6'1", 190-pound quarterback, cornerback who, very highly rated here, but I'm just a bigger fan of Sauce Gardner. Big reason why I, as the Jets GM, took Sauce at number 4. And at number 10, the last pick of our 2022 best seat in the house NFL draft, the New York Jets select wide receiver Drake London at a USC, 6'5", 210 pounds. I'm a big fan of this kid. I know USC has burned the Jets in the past. Mark Sanchez, who look, a lot of fans are not friendly to Mark Sanchez, and his career didn't exactly last like the 10, 15 years like we had envisioned when he was drafted in 2009. But the guy did get us to two, AFC Championship games, so I can't knock him too much. But in more recent memory, Sam Darnold. So Sam Darnold does kind of rain on the parade a little bit. But then again, also last year the Jets took, their guard at the number 14 spot. So and he was also at a USC. So I do think that the Jets can pick from USC. And I do like Drake London, 6'5". The Jets needed a big target, not only to be a difference maker for them, but to be a big time target in the red zone. You have a young quarterback like Zach Wilson. I really think that that's the type of guy that the Jets needed. What are your thoughts on Drake London, Dan? Was he anywhere on your board for the Giants at all?
He wasn't. It was kind of a bit of a question mark because he had been playing in USC, which I feel Southern California gets to be a bit of a question mark, up in the air. Warm weather kind of. I usually kind of like when I know my players have kind of had experience in the elements, as we say.
Very true.
Because up here in the Meadowlands, it does get windy. All right, it does get windy. All right.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. You get those swirling winds. You get those really cold days. You get just everything like that. So I definitely understand why you might be a little hesitant, but you know what? He's just too good for me to pass on. And I know a lot of fans would like to say, why wouldn't you trade the number 10 pick to the 49ers in a package deal for Bobo Samuel, who is on the block right now, or if you listen to John Lynch, he's not on the block, but it doesn't look like they're going to pay him. I know they can franchise him back-to-back years, but I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know. I like the idea of the Jets taking their own guy. I don't want to take somebody else's problem. And you know what? One thing about Bobo Samuel, too, the San Francisco 49ers have a great coach. They're one of the best run franchises in the NFL. Even when they have a down year, they still come back. They've been to a couple of Super Bowls over the last few years. If you're a star and you're a good player in this league, why would you want to leave them? And look, I'm not knocking my team, the Jets, either. But let's be honest here. You want to leave one of the best teams in the league to come to a team like the Jets just to get paid? That kind of thinking just makes me think that, when his contract is up, he's going to be looking for his next stop. He's going to be looking for his next payday. And if the Jets aren't winning, it's not going to be at the Jets. So I don't know if I want to give up the number 10 pick in the draft for him. I want to take a guy who's our guy, and I don't want to mess around. Well, and with that, ladies and gentlemen, that is our top 10 picks in the 2022 NFL Draft. Thank you for indulging us on this right now, and with that, we'll be right back with the rest of our great show. All right, and thanks for sticking with us here on Best Seat in the House podcast. I'm your host, Rob Cramer, once again, along with my great co-host, Daniel Bobo Kurlan. Thanks for enjoying our our little segment here on the NFL Draft. We're actually already coming to near the end here, unfortunately. It's going to be a little bit quicker this week. We're under the gun a little bit with time, but we'll be back for a full episode next week. Definitely doing regular time. So excuse us for having a little bit of shorter one this week. But before we get out of here, though, obviously, me and Dan, big time Met fans. Let's discuss. We had a matinee game today against the St. Louis Cardinals. Dan, tough loss, 10-5 game. They ended up blowing the game. They got to Steven Matz in the second inning, scored 4 runs off him, had a 4-1 lead, end up dropping the game 10-5. What are your thoughts after this game, Dan?
I feel like Cookie crumbled today. All right, he just that's the best way to pull it. All right, the guy. I feel like the guy sometimes it's hit or miss, and out of all the days he had to have, today had to have his bad day. Like I felt like we were going to get our first series sweep of the season, but it wasn't meant to be. Hope we can pull it off versus Philly this weekend. Like I'm ready for what is the heavyweight battle of the Northeast, the battle of the Turnpike this weekend. I'm ready for it. This Mets team looks great. I don't think they're going to be they don't look like they're phased from a loss. I'm starting to hear like all the stories you hear about the 1986 season, how the team always felt like it was going to win, and when they lost, it was a shocker. So I feel like this is going to be they're going to bounce back. They're ready for Philly. I believe Taiwan Walker is pitching. He's got a huge chip on his shoulder to show that he's come back from this thing. I'm hoping we get that Taiwan Walker that looked like that got him to an All-Star game last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe I lucked out on Saturday. I'm gonna get to see Tyler McGill pitch on a Saturday on my birthday.
Actually, if you're going on Saturday, I think Tyler McGill is starting on Friday. I don't know if they've named a starter for Saturday yet, but I know Scherzer is going on Sunday night. Scherzer's pitching because the Mets are going to be on ESPN against the Phillies on Sunday night. It's looking like it's going to be Scherzer against Eflin, I want to say. But I'm pretty sure I looked and I saw that Tyler McGill is going to be starting on on Friday.
Yeah.
And if they had,
I'm probably gonna get Taiwan Walker on a Saturday.
That is correct. Yes, Taiwan Walker against Kyle Gibson is the matchup on Sunday on Saturday. I'm sorry. That's going to be a good matchup, though. I'm excited to see Taiwan Walker back. Right? How are you?
Yep. Excited to see him back. I'm gonna have to wear a sweatshirt underneath my hoodie because it's gonna be in the upper 50s on Saturday night, and they're gonna give out a. This is the first I've seen. I've seen them give out bobbleheads, and I've seen them give out gnomes. This is a bobble gnome, or bobble gnome.
Yes, a Francisco Lindor. That's true.
And it's bobble gnome, so it's a hybrid of a gnome and a bobblehead.
Yeah, so that should be pretty cool. It's a nice little gift they're giving out.
Yep, I'll probably show it to you, Nick, on the next episode because I'll have it in my possession, of course.
Okay, very cool, man. And also, before we get out of here too, we gotta really talk about, so as you mentioned earlier, the Mets were going for the sweep today in St. Louis. They got a terrific outing from Bassett yesterday. The bullpen followed it right up. Drew Smith has been awesome for the Mets. A couple of the other guys have been spotty, but Lugo looks like he's coming around. Trevor May really needs to straighten himself out a little bit, but I'm not that worried about him. But how about that Monday night game, that first game in St. Louis? The Mets were down 2-0 in the ninth inning, down to their final strike against Gallegos, the St. Louis closer, and they rallied all the way back. Dan, how are you feeling after that game, man?
Oh, I was excited after that game, and I have a wild story about that game. During that top of the ninth, I couldn't hold it. I had to go to the bathroom, so I had to pull out my phone, put on the SNY app. There's a shelf in my bathroom that I could put that. So I placed the phone in that shelf, like sort of standing up.
Yeah.
And I'm on the can, and I'm looking at my phone on the side. It's an iPhone 12.
Yeah.
Have the volume as high as you can have it, and my mom could hear me going nuts sounded like from the bathroom, like she was wondering if there was a problem. I said, I'm yelling out from the bathroom, there's no problem. Dominic Smith just legged out that hit and got legged out an RBI. We're leading 4-2 right now or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was 3-2 actually, because McNeil scored from second, but just that sequence alone was just crazy. They come to bat. The first guy goes down. Then Eduardo Escobar rips a single. Then the next guy goes down. Then Mark Canha has just a fantastic at bat. And he grounds out. And Nolan Arenado, one of the best third basemen in baseball, is one of the last 9 National League third base Gold Gloves. Throws the ball away inexplicably, and the Mets capitalize. It was 2-1 there. Then McNeil rips a double. Suddenly it's second and third, 2 out. That's when Dom came up, as you said, and really the first baseman Goldschmidt made a great play to knock that down. And I thought that Dom was going to be dead at first base,
but he made that clutch slide, and it paid.
And lucky for us that the pitcher didn't break immediately too.
Yep, and I just have a feeling we're going to have a very special season this year, especially if the way we handled St. Louis like that, because I feel like every time the Mets are having a good season, St. Louis is always a tough opponent, and that even includes the NLCS in 2006, which still kind of gives me a little bit of a sad memories when I look. I still boo every member of the 2006 Cardinals if they're at the plate, even though all of them are not in the Cardinals anymore, except for 3 of the players. Whenever I see one of those players at bat, when they're on the road in Citi Field, I have a habit of booing them. I'm still going to be booing Yadier Molina. I'm going to one of those later in the year. I'm going to go to one of those games when the Mets play against the Cardinals because I want to boo Yadier Molina one last time.
Oh yeah, and you will have the chance to boo Yadi. The Cardinals will be in to Citi Field between, I think it's May 16th to May 19th, so they'll definitely be here. There's going to be a lot of bad blood too, since this series got a little heated today with the Pete Alonso getting hit last night. Then the young kid the Mets brought up today threw up and in Nolan Arenado, and he did not appreciate that. Benches clearing incident happened. It wasn't necessarily a brawl, but there was a little incident there. There's pushing and shoving, and for some reason, the Cardinals' first base coach took Pete Alonso down, which didn't make any sense, and he'll probably be suspended for that.
Yeah,
not Pete, the first base coach.
I'm going to take a little nod back to the 80s when the Cardinals were in the same division. I'm wearing my 86 Mets jersey that day.
There you go, buddy. All right, and unfortunately, with that, I wanted to get into the Yankees a little bit because they had a great series against the Cleveland Guardians, and we just unfortunately don't have the time today. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to another great episode of Best Seat in the House podcast. Dan, before we get out of here, give yourself a couple of plugs.
Oh, sure. You could follow me on Twitter at Bobo103NYC. You could also follow me at Bobo718DK on Instagram. And it's one word, Daniel Kurlan on YouTube. It's my YouTube account. You could see all my videos I posted there. There's going to be some videos I'll be posting there in the future. You can even see the video from that Eastside Dave versus Tony Atlas, that muscle pose off that happened at the IWF show. I filmed it from my seat in case you didn't get to see it if you weren't there. You can watch it and get to see it, what it looked like from where I was sitting.
Absolutely. Be sure to check that out because the IWF event was a lot of fun, especially the Eastside Dave stuff. And make sure to check out Kevin Knight's match too, as they were defending the tag team championships. But also too, with me, you could check me out on Twitter at Cramer New York. Check out our podcast, BSith_podcast, and on Instagram, Best Seat in the House podcast. And all right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in once again. I appreciate all the support me and Dan have been getting over the last few weeks. Thank you to all our fans. Thank you to all our subscribers and all our followers on social media. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll catch you next week on Best Seat in the House podcast.